Hey guys, what if the world's longest-running treasure hunt was finally about to give up its greatest secret? Not gold, not jewels, but a centuries-old weapon buried beneath a swamp, pointing to a secret war fought in the shadows of history. Welcome back, fellow explorers and truth seekers. This is Oak Island Unlocked, your trusted guide through the winding tunnels of legend, obsession, and the 229-year-old curse that just won't die. And in Season 12, Episode 21 of The Curse of Oak Island, titled The Solution, we may have just witnessed one of the biggest turning points yet, a deadly collapse, a mysterious object, and the shocking possibility that the long-lost Knights Templar, or their spiritual successors, the Knights of Malta, left more behind on this isle than we ever dared imagine. First, let's remind ourselves what's at stake. Oak Island's curse isn't TV hype. 6 men really have died chasing this trove. Local lore swears a 7th must fall before the riches surface. Creepy, right? Yet it explains the desperate caution on Rick's face each time the ground shudders. Every borehole, every clang of steel could be the moment the legend snatches its final victim. But Episode 21 takes that risk and multiplies it. How? By targeting the solution channel, a natural limestone void 200 feet below the money pit. Think of it as a giant underground riverbed. You drop a vault into that yawning space and it'll tumble who knows how far, lodging in darkness no camera has ever filmed. One wrong move and the entire pad could liquefy, swallowing $3 million of gear, or worse, a crew member. That's the tension humming beneath every scene this week. Let's roll back a few episodes. The Fellowship drilled 3 monster cans RP1, RP2, RP3 right on top of the 1861 dig known as Shaft 6. Back then, the Oak Island Association tried to host a stack chests from 100 feet down. Instead, an ocean booby trap flooded the pit, and the chests allegedly slid sideways into a tunnel. For 160 years, treasure hunters have dreamed of finding the tunnel intact. Rick was convinced Shaft 6 would deliver. Spoiler, it didn't. What they pulled up was heartbreak, splintered beams, collapsed cribbing, and no glittering coins. But failure is oxygen on Oak Island. The debris proves something even juicier. Massive timbers moved. Picture a 19th century elevator shaft imploding, its cargo perhaps a double-stacked coffer dropping like a stone, until the limestone opened and whoosh gone, straight into the solution channel. Marty summed it up perfectly. That treasure didn't vanish, it shifted. That single line rewired the whole excavation plan. Defer the RP cans, remember the True Believer shaft, TB1. The crew pounded that 7FT casing exactly where Frederick Blair reported a concrete cocoon chapel vault. At 150 feet, they expected to touch the vault's roof. Instead, the earth gulped and the drill dropped, the bottom dissolved like quicksand. Here's the revelation. TB1 sits north of the money pit while RP3 hugs the south margin. Both collapse toward the same void. Connect those dots and you outline a football field-long subsurface river capable of swallowing centuries of clues. Rick's verdict in the war room was blunt. Go deep, or go home. No more flirting with 120 feet. They want a can that punches past 200 feet straight into the solution channel, the one thing hole or toot. If it works, it might intersect the tumbling path of both the Shaft 6 chests and the fabled chapel vault. One shaft to end them all. Sounds easy on paper. Reality. First, they must stabilize 300 tons of machinery on a pad currently made of Swiss cheese. SB Canada will backfill, compact, and regrade for weeks. While the heavy equipment rests, Rick, Gary Drayton, and Tom Nolan pivot to the one place that never stops giving the swamp. Cue Gary's metal detector, wailing like a banshee at the north wall of the triangle-shaped mere. This wall of SUV-sized boulders could be an ancient dam. Tom's father, the legendary Fred Nolan, mapped something similar in the 1960s, and a 14th century chart donated by researcher Zena Halpern literally labels "Spot the damn Knights Templar." Coincidence, you decide. Gary digs, the camera zooms, and suddenly he's holding iron unlike any spike we've seen, long, cylindrical, socketed at one end, flared at the other, almost like a sleeve that hugged a wooden staff. His eyes light up, looks weapon-related, maybe a ramrod guy. For the non-black powder crowd, that's the iron funnel used to push gunpowder and lead down a musket barrel, a tech staple from the late 1500s through the 1700s. Think about that, muskets on Oak Island. Centuries before anyone documented an English fort here, whose gun French privateers Portuguese sea knights, or a clandestine Templar cell protecting sacred cargo. Wherever this guide came from, it accessorized firepower, and firepower implies conflict. Let's step back. A dam implies intentional flooding. Convert to coves into a swamp to hide construction scars. Build a cobbled road underwater. Steer wagons off ships. Unload crates. Gary has already pulled 1600s trade beads, a medieval laid cross, and Spanish silver from this quagmire. At a musket part and the picture sharpened somebody arm and organized labor here long before colonial settlers. Episode 21 leans hard on that hypothesis. During the fine, cinematographers linger on a weapon fragment, overlaying quick cuts of Templar seals and Maltese crosses we've seen on Lot 5 artifacts. The subtext, a religious military order reached Nova Scotia, used cutting-edge engineering to mask operations, and left behind both riches and ordnance. If the solution channel swallowed the chapel vault, maybe the vault once cradled relics precious to those knights. Here's a darker twist. 6 searches have died in 1861, 1897, 1959, and 1965. All fell victim to sudden cave-ins or lethal water rushes. Could the very feature the Fellowship now chases the solution channel be the mechanism that guarantees tragedy? An enormous void under thin rock disturb it, and the ceiling fails. Perhaps the builders counted on future looters punching through only to perish under tidal surges. That animates Rick's fear and Maudie's urgency. They have to outthink engineers who weaponized geology centuries ago. In episode 21, the war room is more crisis center than boardroom. Laser pointers dance across plates, geologists warn of Swiss cheese limestone, and Doug Kroll taps maps showing every collapse. When they cite the toot can, it's a surgical decision. 6 feet here means life, 6 feet there means death. This season's secret weapon isn't TNT or divers. It's ground-penetrating radar mounted on sleds gliding over the swamp's winter ice. Those scans now display in full-color 3D, revealing stacked walls, box-shaped cavities, even possible tunnels at depths between 8 and 15 feet. The stunning part, many anomalies align precisely with the Boulder Dam. Geometry screams man-made. Maudie, usually the skeptic, actually grins. The data aligns with Fred Nolan's dam. For the first time, the brothers and the late landowner stand on common ground literally. Production schedules suggest the pad will be ready just as Atlantic storms blast the island. Imagine pounding a steel caisson while nor'easters slam rain sideways. The show teases drone shots of cranes swaying like metronomes. Rick whispers, "If we don't hit it this season, we lose 5 months." The curse is one thing. Mother Nature is another, yet the Fellowship rallies. They christen the caisson Toot, the 110. It's folklore now, drop Toot to solve the island. The phrase echoes around the research center like a football chant. Emotionally, it's brilliant. After a dozen seasons, you need a clear banner to march under. Fans can latch onto that single goal. Just when you think the episode's done, the editors slam a final hook. Did the Knights of Malta come to Oak Island? We could get an answer if we go to Malta. Then let's go. Boom, new continent, new archives, new legends. The Knights of Malta are the Templar spiritual heirs, renowned for naval power and secret caches. Their 16th century stronghold was a labyrinth riddled with vaulted treasure cellars eerily similar to Oak Island's own lore. If Rick and Maudie trace a lineage from Maltese archives to Nova Scotia artifacts, the vault's contents may shift from pirate gold to holy relics, a narrative upgrade that would make global headlines. But let's zoom out for a second and address the elephant in the room. What if Toot fails? History is littered with shattered drills and empty shafts. If the caisson punches through and finds only slurry, critics will scream money pit of TV budgets. Yet, even that scenario would gift us hard data. A clean void at 200 feet would finally prove the solution channel's scale and direction. From a scientific standpoint, a null result can be just as powerful. It tells the Fellowship where not to chase ghosts and forces the mystery to pivot elsewhere on the island. Now imagine the opposite. Toot rams into an artificial wall-cut limestone. Maybe hardwood cribbing and the claw camera reveals a squared-off cavity. That single frame could rewrite textbook timelines on North Atlantic engineering. Medieval builders operating rotary tools to centuries. For the first British colonists, the story wouldn't stay a History Channel curiosity, it would explode across academic journals, turbocharging grass and drawing in forensic archaeologists from Oxford to MIT. Oak Island would overnight transform from fringe legend to mainstream historical site like Pompeii with muskets. Of course, there's an emotional toll hidden beneath the adventure music. Craig Tester lost his son Drake halfway through this odyssey. Jack Begley has grown from eager kid to seasoned digger with scars to prove it. Each B-May host carries ghosts of searchers who never made it home. That's why safety briefings dominate shoot days, and why Rick's voice sometimes cracks mid-sentence when they say one more must die. They feel that chill. To drive to secure answers before another tragedy is, in its own way, the strongest fuel in the generator. So the stage is set a reinforced pad, a 220 FT steel bullet named Toot, and an island that has swallowed hopes for 2 centuries. Whether you're a skeptic, a believer, or just in it for the thrill, Episode 21 marks the point where theory meets bedrock. Sharpen your hypothesis, charge your headphones, and prepare for impact, because the next plunge could deliver the evidence that finally drags Oak Island's secret into daylight or adds one more chapter to the legend of a treasure that refuses to be found.